everyone. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, Facebook.
Hi, Facebook. Welcome to our Facebook Live. In a few minutes, we're going to get started. I'm going to let everyone get a second to kick in. I think some people have to enter their email address. We want to give everybody a few minutes to do that. I see people still coming in over here on our Zoom call. Lots of folks from all over the world. Let's see. We already know we have
from Mars.
We're live from the world of pressure with the king of pressure himself. Yeah. I'm so excited. All right, are we, Kelly, Anna, should we start? Should we go for it? Do we think we have some enough of our crew to get into it? All right, welcome to happy hour. You know, the only thing is, I don't have a cocktail. Do you have a cocktail?
I got one right here.
Yeah, she said, oh, okay. All right. Well, sort of a cocktail. I won't ask you what's in that glass, but I am going to have a cocktail. I got to go traveling this week, and it is much more challenging to travel. Kelly's telling us to wait a few more minutes to give people a chance to come in, but I traveled over to the Country Club of Mobile and did an install yesterday. And so I feel like I've deserved a cocktail because traveling in the world today, Terry, is a lot more difficult. Although I did take my pressure mat with me, and it's super easy to throw on the plane. I don't know, you've probably traveled a ton of times with the pressure mat. It's like super easy.
No
big deal, right? Super easy. The only problem is you have to keep the battery with you. So, you know, you have to remember to keep the battery on, but that's pretty easy too, because our battery is like teensy tiny. So that was a simple process for me yesterday on all the flights that I had to do to get from Charleston to Mobile. All right, so
plus,
we have.
Use that battery to charge your phone when you're traveling.
It is. That is like the coolest thing, and it fits in your back pocket. Kelly, can I move? Can I go? Do I have a direction from my director to proceed with our webinar? Yes, she says. All right, everybody, sorry for this, but I have to go grab a cocktail. I'll be right back. 2 seconds.
Sure. Women.
Hey, look. So even with a cocktail in hand, guys, look how easy this pressure mat is. I just grabbed my mat. I wanted everyone to see how easy it is. Can you hear me, Terry?
I can.
I'm even going to pull the mat out because I want everyone to see exactly how gorgeous this thing is. How lightweight. Look at this.
Good for you.
Super easy. Rolls up. Velcros together. Take it with you. And here's the best part. That battery that Terry was talking about, that's it. Velcros right to the mat. And it can charge your cell phone.
Exactly.
How cool is that? So anyway, starting off our pressure mat demonstration today, I just wanted to show you how easy, even with a cocktail in hand, it is to move the pressure mat around.
Cheers.
Cheers, Mr. Hashimoto.
We want everybody all across the world. God bless you. Hope everything's well.
All right. So I'm going to start today with a little bit of introduction. Everyone knows I start with a welcoming, and I'm going to do some introductions, and then we're going to start getting into some really cool but very basic pressure mat information. Welcome to the huge V1 Sports family and all the new friends that have tuned in today. We're super excited as we're connecting through our V1 Sports Facebook Live, broadcasted through Zoom. Super exciting because we have 2 groups of people today, so we should get lots of good questions. Please send questions either on the Facebook messages or the chat screen in Zoom. My team will send them through to Terry and I, and we will get through as many as we can. The purpose today is a simple and basic overview of the V1 pressure mat powered by Boditrak. We're going to share what the pressure mat measures, the top 3 most common traces, and the 3 common flaws and the top traces. Sorry. This recording will be recorded, and we will edit it and have it available on the V1 Sports YouTube live channel or YouTube channel probably within 2 days. A little bit about V1. It's a 25-year-old company that focuses on delivering video analysis and instruction solutions to golfers and golf instructors all around the world. In addition to our software solutions, we provide hardware solutions, including high-speed cameras and computers, and of course, the amazing V1 pressure mat powered by Boditrak. Few other quick introductions, and then I'm going to get to our main guy. I'm Mandy. I'm the Southeast Regional Sales Manager for V1. I'm based in Charleston, South Carolina. I take care of lots of golf instructors every day. I myself am a beginner golfer, but I have loved the feedback that I've gotten from some of my golf professional friends, specifically from the pressure mat. Derek Mousseau is my teammate. He's the Northeast Regional Sales Manager. He is a golf industry veteran, former Class A PGA Pro, and worked with Cobra Puma for 8 years. They will put our contact information in the chat screen. Our guest today is my friend, Terry Hashimoto, mad scientist and definitely the king of pressure. Terry is the founder of Jazz Golf in Canada. He's the co-developer of Boditrak golf pressure mat and the inventor of the world's first inertial measuring unit for golf. He was named the Manitoba Amateur Golfer of the Year 3 times and was a finalist 5 more times through a 22-year span. He attended the University of Miami on a scholarship and won 7 tournaments before playing professionally on the Canadian Tour. Terry is definitely the resource for the science behind golf course mechanics in the golf swing, and I could not be more excited and grateful to be spending the next hour with him. Thank you so much, Terry. I am so excited. I'm like beside myself over this. This is like the coolest thing ever. I feel like we have a total golf celebrity here.
I appreciate it, Mandy. You're a real tiger. I've learned that for sure.
Yeah, they call me the Carolina Tornado is my nickname. I definitely have a lot of energy for sure. You know that.
Hurricane actually, but that's okay.
That's okay. I'll take either. I'll take either. I'm familiar with hurricanes for sure. So Terry, I feel like we should do a little celebration. What do you think?
Well, heck, you got a lot of people joining us. I mean, they deserve something special, don't they?
I think so. I think so. So, you know, knowing that the boss is not watching and knowing that I'm, you know, very much a ask for forgiveness instead of permission, I think it's worth mentioning that our pressure mat is thousands, and I mean thousands of dollars less expensive than our competitors. So maybe we should like go crazy and reduce the price right now.
Are you serious?
I mean, I don't know. What do you think? The pressure mat's $3,500 plus software.
It's such a good deal as it is. Do you really want to do this?
I don't know. I mean, I could probably get away with 3,200, but
that's a good deal right there. I mean, that's a great deal.
Yeah, I think we should go even more.
Let's
give it to people that are here today.
I got a sense you're gonna do something crazy.
People that are here today, I think we should sell the mat just to these people for $3,000. That's like never before. For just 3 days though. Let's see what happens. Let's see how many mats we can get. $3,000. You think I'll get in trouble?
You will, but I'm pretty sure you're used to being in it.
I'm gonna blame it on you. All right, guys. So for 3 days, for the end of June, we're gonna sell people that are joining us today the pressure mat for $3,000. It's never gonna happen again. But in honor of Terry and the fact that we're doing this at Happy Hour, I think we should go for it. And then Terry, if I get in trouble, I'm gonna blame it on you.
Dai Bože Kampai Salute, whatever your nationality, faith, religion is. Pray for Mandy because I think she's about to get herself into a little bit of trouble.
That's okay. I'm gonna sell a bunch of mats for the next 3 days, and maybe I won't get in trouble. Okay, so all right, let's get into a little bit more information. And I wanted to say that our mat is the only portable mat, and some of the top golf instructors in the academies in the world use the pressure mat. Specifically, we can talk about Richard Hughes. He's a fellow that we did a webinar with last week. Of course, Jake Thurm, everyone knows our rock star Jake Thurm is a huge pressure mat expert. Terry, you got any others you want to throw out?
Oh, there's so many, Mandy. I mean, like, you know, Jim McLean was one of our early adopters. The Shefticks and, Ted Sheftick to me is a legend in the upper Northeast, Mark Sheftick at Marion. I mean, the Ledbetter Academies. I mean, literally everywhere around the world. You know how we didn't keep good track of who uses Boditrak in what cities. So when I get a customer, a golfer that wants to know where they can try or get a lesson on Boditrak, I just say to them, what city are you from? I punch in the name of the city and the word Boditrak, an overwhelmingly majority of the time, I'll get back 1 or 2 or 3 or more people or pros in that city that are using Boditrak. So the list is really quite extensive. We've got over 6,000 customers worldwide. That's a lot of customers in the golf instruction business.
Yeah, yeah. And it's so easy to get in your hands. I mean, you literally can take the mat and an iPad with V1 software and like go to the range easy all day long. So
I was hitting balls today actually, and I haven't been on the gear for about 3 days. I was getting too much pressure on the trail side, and I was stuck there and hitting it kind of heavy. I went on the mat, went back to the range because I live right on the golf course, hitting it perfect. I mean, it just takes that one. You can't see it, you can't necessarily feel it because your feelings change every day. And
Yep.
that's really, you mentioned the word feedback when you got this thing kicked off, and that's what it is. It's feedback.
Yeah, good, easy feedback. I'm going to do a screen share. Terry, I'm going to go through our slideshow. It's going to give us some direction to share with our folks of some easy things that we are going to teach them. Let me get it open here. Okay.
You know, the thing that while you're doing that, the thing that when we first started this, Mandy, we thought we have to understand this to the nth degree to really make it practical for everybody to enjoy. And it turned out that when we started building these charts, the velocity chart, the vertical force chart, that's all cool stuff. But really, all you really need to know is the trace.
Okay, cool. That's some great information. I'm going to talk about this first slide, Terry, and then I'm going to let you talk about all the rest of them. What is the V1 pressure mat? Like I displayed when I first walked in with my wine in hand, it is light and portable. It is just over 9 pounds. It is thin and flexible. It is easy to connect to the V1 Pro desktop software and the mobile application. Literally, it is plug and play. It's not even plug and play, it's connect and play because it is a Bluetooth wireless connection. The battery is 20 plus hours. The cool thing about our battery is it will last longer than your iPad. You can actually charge your iPad on the battery. It is waterproof. It is 24 by 43 inches. It has a 1-year warranty. It is absolutely the solution to measure pressure, velocity, and dynamic force through the golf swing and provides immediate data immediately, literally instantaneously. So that is what the V1 pressure mat is. Now, what does it measure, Terry?
Pressure, velocity, and dynamic vertical force, as it indicates right there, Mandy.
The cool thing about those 3 guys is that in the software, that graph pops right up as soon as you connect it. You can look at all 3 graphs, or you can look at one. You can change the size of them. So it's very easy to give the student feedback in a very easy way that they understand. All right, here we go. This is the basics. Tell us what it measures. What are the common pressure flaws?
Too much pressure in the toes during the swing, and I'll tell you what, that's the #1 pressure flaw in the world for golfers, bar none. Not so much in the pros, but amateurs for sure. But even as touring pros, when they're out there, the takeaway from this knowledge is that as they get tired from the hot weather or whatever, they got to make sure they get the pressure in the heels. Backing up in the irons, especially with the juniors, a lot of times they're using clubs that are too heavy or too long. And in order to make proper contact, they have to either clear and back up. And it's just like if you're going to hit somebody, if you're backing up when you're hitting them at the same time, there's not as much power there. And old guys like me, and this is definitely a piss off thing for me because, you know, it's almost a decade since I've been doing this. When I started with the Boditrak, I was still an adequate golfer. My pressure is so damn slow to the lead side right now, and it's an easy step drill to keep on working on that. But pressure too slow to the lead side is a definite reason why people cannot don't get any distance as we get older. Now, there's also that you got to have the strength to hold it there on the lead side. But that's those are the top 3 pressure flaws, bar none. And that's the overwhelming majority of the lessons that you're going to teach with Boditrak and the full swing.
Okay. Cool. So that's super simple. I mean, that's 3 common pressure flaws that we definitely want to be able to fix.
That's
Super
all you
easy.
need to- that pays for the mat over and over and over and over. It's so ridiculous. It's unbelievable. And like you said at the beginning, the feedback, you can't get it with any other tool. That's how you make this thing pay for itself, and your students really, really happy, and you look like a god as an instructor, which you already are.
Well, yeah. Well, and today we're offering it for $3,000 for 3 days. So even easier to get that sucker paid for. All right, let's talk about the basic traces. You know,
All right.
this is basic. Like, you know, as a golf instructor, I'm new to the mat. Tell me what I'm looking at.
When you see a shit trace like this, you should call this money. That's a scatter trace, because all you got to do, when you see this trace, try not to smile if you're an instructor. The scatter pressure is going all over the place, heel to toe, side to side, up and down and all around. And all you have to do to get this golfer to eliminate this trace is a step drill. It's really, really easy. It means they have a poor dynamic stability throughout their swing. They've never been taught how to stand properly with the proper balance. And a step drill will help them resolve this scattered trace immediately, show them immediate results, and they'll hit the ball better. Absolutely, for sure. Now what's interesting about this, Mandy, because a lot of people talk about certification, you know, can I get certified? Right. So I say, look, in my humble opinion, because, you know, I'm an old dude and I come from I'm more of a mentorship school program when I was a pro and all that stuff. And all my businesses, I like being mentored. I had mentors. I mentor people. I always tell people, look, if you can do all the traces, you're certified. But there's a little caveat to this. I don't expect them to do this. You ask a good player to do a scattered trace, they can't do it.
That's so funny. I think we should rename it to the money trace. This is where you make your money trace.
The money trace. When you see this trace, smile, because they came to the right person. And the feedback, again, that word feedback that you used early, when they see the feedback on the Boditrak and they see the immediate results, it's off to the races.
Nice. Okay. Abbreviated trace.
Just a little knockdown shot. This is Ryoji Amati here, but a little knockdown shot. Pressure doesn't go too much to the trail side. The amount of the pressure that goes to the trail side depends on the length of the club. Obviously, with the wedge, you know, for 50, 55, you know, you don't have to get too much pressure to the trail side. With the driver, you want to get 75 to 90, you know, depends on the length of the club. The longer the club, the more pressure you're going to get to the trail side during the backswing.
Okay.
This is a fish hook trace. This is the one where you get too much pressure into the toes. This is an example. Actually, I used it. This is the only time I've ever put my son into the slides, because you can see his trail toe, his trail heel way up in the air there. But this is a fish hook trace. This is an example of what you'll do, what most amateurs will do when they're getting too much pressure in the toes. The toes are the braking mechanism. The heels are the acceleration portion of your foot. The ankles are the shock absorbers in the propulsion system. I've said that for almost 8 years. I've never been challenged on it, and it turns out that it's 100% true. I've had biomechanics talk to me about this. They've asked me, how did you come up with that? It doesn't really matter how I came up with it. It's true.
That's what makes you the king of pressure, Terry. And also, just really quickly on this slide, can we say that's Ben? Yeah.
No, this is a shit trace too. That's
your son Ben, right?
That's no shit trace. He's a soccer player. He's athletic.
I feel like we should shout him out, though. I know he's probably watching.
Ben, come here.
I know he's not. He's not far from you.
Come here, Ben. Quick. Come here. Say hello to everybody. This is my son. Get down in the picture here. He's a monster. He's a little boy like he was in that picture. Get out of here. See you later. Love you.
So that kind of proves how long we've been doing this, right, Terry? Because Ben looks a lot taller than in that picture. Thanks, Ben. We just wanted to say hi. Okay, let's move on.
This is a heel toe. This is actually Michael Brate in our early days. You know, I got to give credit to Michael. I mean, he's a really good golfer, actually. But you notice he's accelerating through the trail heel to the lead toe, then he breaks and clears. This is but the problem with this trace is that this is a very handsy player. So in order for the golfer to hit the ball straight, they have to flip it with their hands. And then when you straighten out their trace, they typically pull it.
Okay.
But it's a big hitter's trace.
Big hitter's trace, good.
they're accelerating through their heel, their trail heel. Next.
Cool.
Okay, now we're getting into the lateral trace. The one thing that we learned using launch monitors is that Flight Scope in the early days was good enough to give us access to their state-of-the-art equipment, and we noticed right away that the greater the distance between the line going back and the line going through, the more dispersion that we saw on the Flight Scope. And this was a very early revelation. On the left is Scott Brown, on the right is Kisner. And I haven't seen Kisner's trace of recently, but when John Tillery and Scotty Hamilton were kind enough to share with us their early, because they didn't know what they were looking at. And truthfully, I wasn't 100% sure either, but we learned together. And we learned that the tighter the line going back and the line going through, the less dispersion. It's 100% accurate. Don't give a shit what anybody tells me. Linear trace and irons is the best trace. We see it on all the PGA Tour winners. I have philosophy, winning's easy, copy winners. And it's that simple. It's not easy to do.
Okay, I agree. Here we go.
This is my favorite. Corey Connors on the right, Boo Weekly on the left. Corey's from Canada, so obviously some bias on my part. Was just interviewing with Terry Ingram, Canada's national golf coach. Corey is an amazing golfer. Won the last tournament in Houston last year, and then got flown to Augusta. Played the Masters, first time ever. He wasn't fully exempt, but I saw this trace 3 years ago at the Honda when he was practicing for another event. And I said to his coach, Derek Ingram, this guy's got it. And he accelerated through his trail heel to his lead side. Amazing. Boo Weekly, everybody knows Boo's probably one of the best ball strikers on the world and planet today. Guy's just a natural. He accelerates through his heels. His trace is excellent. This was an early trace. We caught it outside Scotty Hamilton, and Boo is such a cool guy. He just, where do you want me to hit this, Terry? And I said, just how about that pin slightly left of that left pin? And he just perfect. Didn't care. Just brilliant.
Love it. That's what we get excited about. Okay.
That trace, that linear trace is real money. So going back to the scattered trace, that's your money. When you see that trace, that scattered trace there, that's your money as a pro. But when you as a pro get to this trace, straight back, straight through, you can make a hell of a lot of money playing. Now,
okay, that's what we're shooting for, right?
And I've never seen a PGA Tour winner in his mid to short irons, not have a linear trace. We have seen some anomalies in the longer irons with the winners. And typically this one would be on the left. In fact, you just pulled it up. That's Gary Woodland, I believe. And when I saw this trace, Jim McLean sent this to me. He said, what do you think of that? I said, he's going to choke under pressure. And, at that particular tournament, he didn't play well coming in the home stretch. But that little squirrel, that little trace, it's where he's backing up and then moving forward. Later on, with some 3D help with some guys like with Dr. Robert Neal and others, Dr. Sasha McKenzie and others, we learned that that trace is okay in the longer irons as long as the mass is moving forward. But you can see in the velocity chart that this is where it gets challenging because we don't want to make it complicated. As long as that pressure is moving forward prior to impact, you're good to go. Justin James, I mean, this is a bit of a Z. This is a figure 8 trace where it looks like a scatter trace, but it's not. It's going straight to his lead side, back, and then forward again. So almost like a Z trace.
Got it. All right. Here's the Z.
Z. Okay, now this one, small people that don't have strong lead sides will have to and need to create dynamic loft will go straight from their trail heel to the lead pole and back up severely. The trick there is their mass is moving forward prior to impact. Obviously, it puts a lot of pressure on the thoracic spine. It's a big word for me. I don't use it often, but I know there's a lot of people watching that are paying attention to, that type of a thing. It really becomes, and I know Lisa long ball reasonably well. She's from Calgary, Alberta. She hits a 340 plus. But Troy Mullins, who is also a world long drive champion. I'm not sure if she's world long drive champion, but she's up there all the time. Troy has no backup. She's lateral trace with her driver, and they're totally two different builds. I'd be surprised if Lisa was more than 155 pounds, and Troy she's her left thigh is bigger than my entire both legs put together. So she's on the lead side. And to me, that's the differentiation between a Z trace and a lateral player and the driver. They're both long.
Okay, cool. All right. Sometimes you ask us for these slides, so we put them in here.
Yeah.
You can talk to them or not, but I didn't want you to ask me for them and them not be there.
Well, we can talk about the key pressure positions. I mean, they haven't changed. 55-60 lead side. That's the first thing that we saw that was different than what I learned as a junior golfer and as a professional golfer growing up. We were always under the impression that it was, that you should set up a little bit more on your trail side. I tried doing that today. I hit behind it about 6 feet all the time. You want to set up 55-60 on your lead side in Europe and in windy places, and in condition and golfers where there are more even windy conditions. You might even set up a little bit even more on the lead side. But setting up on the lead side allows you to have more time to get to the trail side, more space. And you're buying yourself time and you're buying yourself power.
Got it.
Pressure transition. This is a good one. This was really a revelation for us. I never really thought the top of the backswing meant too much, but in this case, we learned that it didn't. When the lead arm was parallel to the ground on the way back, the pressure was already beginning to move forward for a good player, if not sooner. In fact, as soon as the club is going back, the pressure in a lot of cases already reached to the trail side and it's beginning to move forward. That's a key indicator of a good player as well. At pressure transition for good players, you're going to want to have more pressure in your trail heel. Why? Because your arms have a mass, and that mass, when it begins to move forward, pulls your body forward into the ball. So you have to have more pressure in your heels to offset the forces of the weight going forward towards impact. Very simple.
Very simple. Actually,
David Lee was the guy to note that. He wrote a book called Gravity Golf. I didn't create this. We read about it. All Boditrak did was validated. I take no credit for any of these. We basically just validated what all the greatest golf instructors in the world already knew, but felt they knew, but really didn't have any objective data to prove it. In fact, the most rewarding thing in this entire project has been the fact that all these old timers, and which I am one of them, have said, I knew that, but I couldn't prove it. And I thank you for that. And many of them did say that. And I said, no, thank you.
Terry, what a cool thing to have given these people a tool to see it. I mean, you can't see pressure in your feet. I loved a few weeks ago, there was a post that Jake Thurm put up, and it was, Jake wants to know more about your golf swing than what you're telling him. You don't know that unless you're looking at pressure, right? So I love that. Now, Impact, do you want to talk to this one a little bit?
Well, an earlier question was posted at P5, should the pressure be 80 or 50-50? It's if you're 50-50 at P5 with lead arm parallel to the ground on the way down, you're behind the curve. It's like throwing that punch and not having any. You want to be with it. If you're 50-50, your pressure's not soon enough to the lead side, so you fit into the top three pressure flaws, which is not getting pressure to the lead side quick enough.
Right. That was David Stinson asked that question. Thank you. Great question, David. And by the way, happy to share this slideshow or this presentation with anyone that would like it. All right. So we are going to move on to some questions. I also wanted to just throw up this slide. The girls are going to put this contact information in our chat, so I'm sure everyone is seeing that. And I am going to come over and look at some of the questions that we have. So thanks, David, for that first one. He also asked, can you please explain a little more about backup with the irons and how it's caused and maybe the relationship? I mean, you just talked about that a little bit already.
Backing up in irons is quite common in kids. It's one of my pet peeves in golf. Because it forces your body to be in a bad spine angle, and it could cause you injury. Now you have to do something pretty, severe in golf to really hurt yourself that badly. It's not like a contact sport, but prolonged, uh, prolonged incorrect positioning of your spine at impact can really do some damage. And dynamic stability, not just in golf, but in life, is probably one of the most important things as we progress through our aging, through our cycles of life. And you don't want to be in incorrect position, and backing up causes you to be in correct position. Couple of ideas. Usually the clubs are too heavy, so they're diving at the ball. If you're diving at the ball, because it's too heavy, you got to get back up to clear, or you're going to hit foot behind it.
Right.
Sometimes the clubs are too long. Same idea. But backing up in an iron it's tantamount to backing up before you make contact throwing a punch. You're relieving all the you're taking back some of the forces you've been applying to the throw.
Cool. Real quick. Hi, Bob Grissett. Bob Grissett is one of our pressure mat pros down in Boca Raton. We had a student reach out and say, I need a pro in Boca that has a pressure mat. So I'm sending him down to you, Bob. And Bob is on with Tom Patry tonight on their Instagram Live. That'll be a fun one to tune into. Another question for you, Terry. Do different clubs, for example, irons versus driver, affect which trace you're looking to achieve?
Well, the shot would be more of the yes, and also to the shot. So if you want a low trajectory, an abbreviated trace is probably more is going to be the go-to trace it for a more lower trajectory. If you're going to a fairy wood, it's still going to be a lateral or a linear. The driver is where it gets kind of crazy, where if a person's small, they'll go from their trail heel to their lead toe, and then they'll create dynamic loft by backing up. But at the same time, the mass is moving forward, so the pressure is also going forward, causing that sort of a Z backing up and trace.
Okay.
I want to answer that question a little bit better, though. Say that to me one more time.
Okay. Do different clubs, for example, irons versus drivers, affect which trace you're looking to achieve?
Okay, so I'm on the right track. So linear in the irons, bar none. I don't care what anybody tells me. I've seen enough traces, and it's not a question of drinking my own Kool-Aid. I'm not a scientist. I'm not an engineer. I've worked with many, hired many, been involved with many research projects. It's really a question of just copying the winners. And the winners don't have backup in their irons. They're all linear in their irons. And I've seen all the winner, well, an awful lot of the winners' traces over the past 7 or 8 years. And I've never seen a single one of them have a fish hook in their irons, not a single one of them. I've seen the little squirrel trace where they do back up just prior to impact in long irons, but it moves forward. It's almost like a linear trace. But, but I've never really seen anybody with a lateral trace perform well in their. In fact, I've never seen a lateral trace in a short iron, mid iron for a tour winner ever. And I haven't seen everybody, but I have seen a lot. Now the driver trace, it's a totally different game. If you're accelerating from your trail heel to your lead toe, and you can see the line, it looks like a Z. I'm going to show you like that. The distance between the line at the top and the line going back is great. So the guy's got to be really good with their hands. The Gower guy's got to be really good with their hands. And as we all know, great players have great hands. However, in my opinion, great player, the hands choke and the feet don't, or not as much. So the goal at the highest level, for me at least, with using Boditrak is take the emphasis off the hands, make them feel what's real, get them to understand that, get the trace good, let the hands do what they naturally do, because they are so good with their hands, quite often they'll rip it more often than not.
Yeah, it's so cool to have the pressure, the student on the mat, and be able to show that so easily in the V1 software. All right, what are the common reasons people get pressure on their toes?
A, tired. B, stupid and don't listen. Just about that. No, They have never been taught to get into their heels. Most golf pros won't teach that, or don't teach that, and we didn't know it.
Right.
And I have been a golf pro for a big part of my life. So a great thing that I do, and I'm actually doing this right now. I just lay a 2x4 flat on the mat, and I put my toes on it and I hit balls. We have a tool called a Moflex that a friend of mine, Phil Starr, developed for dorsiflexion and plantar flexion, which is really important for range of motion in your upper thorax and in your shoulders. And it's a really cool test to do. If you get somebody to stand all on their toes and just raise their arms, I don't have enough room to do that here. You'll see they're restricted. Then if you get them to go on their heels and raise their arms as high as you can, you'll see that you can raise your arms more, because your body, your joints are all lined up along the side of your body. So when you're in your toes, your range of motion is restricted, and that if you're restricted, you're not going to hit the ball as well. And I look at the whole traces as restrictions. So when I see this trace right here, the trace that I said, that's a bunch of restrictions back and through. In fact, how Boditrak got started was a guy, a friend of mine, Dr. Peter Mackay in San Diego, sent me a trace. He said, "What do you think of it?" I said, "Well, I think the fellow's a good golfer because the swing looks good, but he's got an injury on his lead side." He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, I can see the restrictions on the lead side." Turned out it was Dave Phillips from Titleist, and I got a call from Dave Phillips the next day to come down to San Diego and explain to them how we could see all that stuff. Right. Hey, I'm not a rocket scientist, but that just was very easy to me. What we're seeing is restrictions in the swing. So when that line's back and through, there's no restrictions, because really what you're seeing in Boditrak is the flow of electricity between two layers of cloth. That's how there's a conductor between the two layers of cloth. So that flow of energy, it's either going to be restricted or not restricted. It's really stupidly simple, and we
so
made it
easy. See,
8 pounds. What did you say? $3,200? Is it ridiculous?
No, I said $3,000.
$3,000. What have you got?
I know. I'm going to get in such trouble. I'm going to keep drinking, because after this, my boss is going to call me and say, "What are you thinking?"
Money.
But you know what? It's pretty special to be able to put this in people's hands so easily and have them make big changes in their students so quickly. I mean, how cool is that?
Listen, I want to say this because we made it too complicated. It's as simple as the trace. And biofeedback for your students, I mean, let them rent it off of you, okay? You're busy. You're giving 10 lessons every 8 hours. I don't know what you're giving, 20 lessons every 8 hours. Sometimes they're on the pressure mat, sometimes they're not. But if you're not on the pressure mat, rent the pressure mat out to the students so that they can monitor look at their trace. Put some extra cash in your pocket. It's called a business. We're in the business to make money. Buy another pressure mat, rent it up in the other hitting bay, on and on and on. Because people want more than just hitting golf balls. It's so goddamn boring to hit golf balls. I don't know where the people laugh when I go out to the range anymore because the balls are shitty. I just want to. If I had data there when I'm not getting a lesson, it says, "Okay, here's my practice session. I want to see my flow of energy. I want to see my launch data, whatever." What a perfect way to accent your income. Come on, people. It's the COVID-19 era. People are trapped inside their houses. We're going friggin' nuts. I want to get out and I want to use technology.
Well, and how cool is this too? Because I love bragging about the partnership with V1 and Boditrak, because you can do that. I can do that all day long, and I'm not a golf instructor, but I can take my video and through the app, send it to my golf instructor and literally real time get feedback when I'm not even scheduled for a lesson. I mean, I have done that. I have sent my pressure to Richard and Jake Thurman. I'm like, "I'm on the range. Here it is. What do I do?" And in moments I have, and now, did you know that we have FaceTime feature in the software? You literally could FaceTime your instructor. I mean, how cool.
I heard about it, but no one at V1 showed me how to use it yet.
Maybe we should get you set up for some training. That is, unless we both get in trouble for dropping our pressure mat rate to 3,000. We might both not be able to get trained on that.
But in all seriousness, because I've been to a lot of different seminars all over the world. Probably won't be doing too many anymore. Not because I don't want to, just the way the world is right now. But I've been to, and I try to I go to every speaker's presentation because I don't want to drink my own Kool-Aid. I want to learn. And some of the most amazing stuff is from medical. You know, I read this thing about how the spinal fluids um, decrease the transmission of it when the spine is off tilt. Interesting, but who gives a shit really? So let's just put the guy right into the dynamic posture using Boditrak, the V1 powered by Boditrak pressure mat. Get him right into the dynamic posture during impact. And guess what? His spinal fluids will be really good, really efficient. Do I need to know about his spinal fluids? No, I don't. But
there you go.
Some people want to. I mean, look, I'm not that smart of a guy.
Me neither. I like to keep it simple.
Yep.
It's too much. I know the tool works, and I know what the data means and how that means for my golf swing. That's all I care about, right?
Right.
Terry, I have a question for you that no one's asked, but it's my question. Yes, what? Go ahead.
Swing banking. For everybody who's listening out there, in all seriousness, when you have a customer who's playing very well, or you know they're playing their best they've played ever, or whatever they're optimal for them, collect all the data, even if you don't charge them, because when they're not playing so well, which will be very soon thereafter, you've got something that you can show them and refer them to, and it's a great way to make money. Anyways, next. Sorry.
I love that. You're so right. I had Quinn Griffings, my buddy up in Fort Wayne, and he says that when times are slow, he goes back through his V1 videos of folks he hasn't seen in 4 years, and he just shoots that video through and says, hey guy, I know we worked on this, and how's it going? And he gets so many lessons from people just saying, what a great little nugget of info. I definitely want to get back to that. So you're right. That's so great to save that data for later. Okay, I have a question for you. This is my question, and it's because I get asked this question a lot. So you are definitely the king of pressure. Your pressure mat is absolutely definitely the best one on the market. I get asked all the time how you chose V1 software to partner with.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Can you talk to that? Because I am personally honored to work with you. And you and I have had some really fun times recently selling mats and working together. I know we've got a really fun training set up next week for a great group out in California that'll be fun. But why was V1 your choice?
Well, first of all, it was the most established software for golf in the world, and we wanted the best. And you took the challenge up, and you made it mobile. I have the original clips from when we first connected to the data port. I don't want to. It's not an emotional thing, but I was with my kid, and I don't think he appreciated it. But that was a really hard thing to do. V1 took the challenge. They accepted it. They got it done. I'm telling you, it was harder than heaven. And to get to heaven, and you guys got it done, and it's just gotten better and better and better. I don't know how you beat it. I mean, side by side annotation, over whatever y'all got, voiceover, you got Facebook. I mean, come on. I mean, what more do you want? And you got the pressure mapping, and more important, you've got the resources of the one thing that I like about Golf Pros the most. If you walk up to a golf pro and say, look, I'm Terry Hashimoto from Winnipeg, Manitoba, and I'm having a little trouble understanding this golf swing, and I'm at a seminar with somebody, and you're from Kentucky or whomever, and they'll share their thoughts with you in an intelligent manner most of the times. Now, sure enough, there'll be forums where everybody acts like a dick and everybody's got to be the big dick of the wick, But generally speaking, the overwhelming majority of the time, if you need help, your group of V1 pros are the best pros in the world. They share things, and I think that's what this is all about. There's no other way you can go. What are you going to do? I mean, video is great. It's superb. It's you've done the best. Now you can see what you can't see with the video, and you've got it on your video. You got the best system in the world, bar none.
Thanks. I agree. I would also like to say our team is based in the U.S., and you can get them on the phone. You can get them on the phone. If you want to get my support team on the phone and it's the weekend and you're teaching and you can't find them, you will have my cell phone. If you can't find them, I can. I cannot tell you how many times I have had golf pros call and say, I'm stuck. And I say, let's get through it. And if I can't get you through it, someone will. And I think that's worth bragging about because our team is exceptional. And actually, we have a team called the Customer Success Team. And I think they're aptly named because that is absolutely what they do. Jackson Bushway specifically is on vacation now, and he has responded to multiple people this week while on vacation. Will Clark's another one. He is an absolute rock star. They will take care of you. So enough bragging about my team.
It said that Jake wouldn't share his hair. You don't want his hair. It's too hard to maintain, Bob.
Yeah, well, we're having, I brushed my hair before the webinar to keep.
So I want to add one thing.
Yeah.
Because I'm Canadian, true, but I grew up a third of my life in the United States, and always felt like I was sort of, bi citizen. It was not the other one. And the Canada and United States, our products are made in 100% North America. All of our material for our sensors is made in North Carolina, South Carolina. Our conductors are made in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Our chips are all made by an HVAC company out of Atlanta and Winnipeg. There's virtually nothing in we might have the odd battery or something that's made in China, but nothing. I mean, 95 to 97% of our products made in North America. That is also why I wanted to go with the V1. We could have done this offshore, but it wouldn't have been near what you guys did. Yeah. And you guys made it happen. You did it the old-fashioned American way. God bless you, so on. I mean that. You did it well. You did it effectively. And I'm all about getting the shit done made in Canada and the United States. North America, God damn it. I don't want to buy any shit from anywhere else in the world anymore.
Me neither. Or work with anyone else. And I want to be able to get people on the phone. All right. So let's get back to
what I said.
Yeah. All right. Have you seen any benefits in the traces for senior golfers by lifting their left heel off the ground?
Totally.
Great question.
Absolutely. Increases your shoulder turn. They got to hammer down the trail heel a little quickly. That's the problem with it. If they don't get the heel down quickly enough, they'll still be slow getting to the lead side. I'm right in that category right now. I got to be honest with you. Right now, the last couple of weeks of my game is just shit. And but I didn't have access to my lab until just the other day. And then I was, for some reason, I was hanging all on my trail side. And but specifically to your point, hammering down a lead side after they get that heel up is a super way to get more distance. But it also increases your range of motion in your shoulders. It gives you a bigger shoulder turn.
Cool. I'm just looking through our questions here. Yeah, yes, we're going to definitely share our slideshow. Can you show long drivers push hard from the ground? Can you see a difference in the long drivers, Trace? I mean, I'm sure.
Okay, so this is okay. Bob Grissett, I'm going to throw one out there, and you're probably going to send me some interesting messages. I do not see a correlation between vertical forces and distance. Not at all. I've had this discussion with everybody. I've had guys throw beer at me. I've had guys tell me that I'm a Jap. I've had guys tell me everything. They're just drunk. Who cares? But I've never seen any conclusive evidence that suggests that the higher the vertical forces is a direct correlation to distance. Because you can have high lateral speeds and maybe not so much vertical forces. I personally would suggest as you get older, you need a combination of both. And I would have suggested a guy like Rory McIlroy would be 100% rotation in his early days. Tiger, probably much more so rotation too, and very high vertical forces. But guys, as they get older, they'll start incorporating some lateral motion there. And they'll be faster laterally, which will offset the decrease of the vertical forces. And I don't give a shit what PhD, MBA, whatever. Show me the data. Show me 1,000 players, higher vertical forces equals more distance. And I'll say, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. I'll buy you a beer.
I don't know. They'd be challenging the king of pressure. I haven't seen you be wrong that often. So we'll see. They may be buying you the beer, Terry. All right, so we've got another question kind of on that same line. I often suggest, this is from Lou Cooper, I often suggest that seniors drop their trail foot back a bit. How will this affect the trace?
Well, I like it. Flare foot. I like it because it opens up the rotation. And I just said earlier that as you get older, you're going to need a little bit more rotational forces. It helps the rotational forces, and I like it because it also helps me get a more lateral, more linear trace because it allows me to get into my trail heel quicker. And so I think it's a good move. It's not for everybody, but it's definitely a way to increase your lateral motion. You got to be careful because if you got to be able to push from your trail heel to your lead side quickly.
Okay. I just want to remind everyone two things in case anyone has to duck out. My friends in the UK, I'm sorry that this is so late in the day for you. We're trying our best to accommodate time frames. However, we do record all of these. They will be available on our YouTube live. What?
This ain't late for the guys in the UK. They're
Well,
having. These guys call me at 10 o'clock their time at night, which is 3 in the morning for them. Those guys in the UK, they're working around the clock.
I know, right? I'm getting texts all hours, right? So it's funny. Andy Knight says, can we please have these earlier? We have been on the beer, although he spelled it bear. So he may have had one too many beers, Andy Knight.
I know. We just spent some time with Andy Knight. Like we were there with Andy, my son, and we were there playing soccer. Say hi to him in a minute.
Hi, Andy. That's so funny. Also wanted to remind everyone for 3 days, we're going to offer the pressure mat at $3,000 because Terry and I are so wild and crazy. So if you would like to take us up on that deal, please email me or Derek. I know that my cell phone number is also going to be shared here in a minute. Derek's cell phone number too, $3,000. That's so crazy. It will not happen again.
Andy, I didn't do it. You did it.
I know. I did it, but I'm going to blame it on you because you're the one that's the troublemaker, not me.
That's okay.
Maybe sometimes I'm in trouble. I'm definitely an ask for forgiveness, not permission. Okay. So let's see. We have got another question. Here's a good one. How can you use pressure to decelerate pelvis throw impact?
I don't know. I read that, and I'd have to
pelvis through. That's a
I like the question. It requires more thought than I can give you right now. But if you allow me to, if you send me that email, I'll think about it.
Cool. Thank you for that. How important is to keep the right foot down through impact for right-handed players?
Well, I'm a big believer in trail heel down, which is in the U.S. they call that banking. In the old days, we just called it talent. The notion of keeping the trail heel down it emanates from players like Mo Norman, Lee Trevino. Hell, I mean, every single person that won the last 7 British Opens in their irons, their trail heel down was post P5. So when their lead arm was parallel to the ground on the way down and almost at impact, their trail heel was down. And we looked at them because I was just over in Europe doing a seminar, so I wanted to make it kind of homogeneous to them, where we put some of the Open winners in there. And every single one of the top 7, all the last 7 in their irons were all trail heel downs. And if you watch Hogan, I'm going to piss some of you Hogan fans off a little bit. So when Hogan got into his trail heel early, he hooked the shit out of it. How do I know that? Because I talked to Bob Toski and I talked to Ken Venturi. I talked to all the guys. Venturi and Toski were my teachers down in Miami. And when Hogan got into his trail heel, got off his trail heel early, he snap hooked it. I don't give a heck how many tells me. But when Hogan was playing real well, he got off it a little bit earlier than most, but he was still trail heel down a long time.
I love your saying copy the winners, because it's obvious that you've analyzed so many of the winners' traces. And so your knowledge on that is so really backs that up. I wanted to show everyone, I didn't really show on the mat. I love picking this up because a lot of our people have said, Holly, we don't really see it. I'm even doing this with my headphones attached. But I did want to also show everyone how easy this is. This is the battery. Remember I showed you from earlier? And the way that Terry engineered this is this sucker literally Velcros right here and connects right here. That's how hard the setup is. And it's a Bluetooth connection to the iPad or iPhone and the mobile software. So I just wanted to show that one more time. It's so easy to use, so portable, so lightweight. Put it in any lie, put it in a sand trap. There was a picture in our slideshow of Kelly's husband, Pete, in a sand trap. And so that's just another thing that you can put it in any surface.
You know, the fun thing to do is if you're giving lessons, you're doing a playing lesson. Take the player, and you know their trace. Take them to a really tough hole, really narrow driving hole, or a really tough par three, and watch how their trace changes. Try doing that with any of our competitors' products. Go out on the golf course, do something live, be crazy, go nuts. It's COVID-19 craziness. Take your student onto the golf course, go nuts, and seriously, it's amazing to see. We did that early. Jake Durham was probably the first guy to throw it. In fact, he was the first guy to throw it into a bunker at a PGA Tour. And Jake and I have been friends for a long time. But we have a lot of friends, and there's a lot of great instructors. So I'm not drinking my own Kool-Aid here. Whatever, if you see something different than what we say, I'm not going to say you're wrong. Share with me, because I want to be wrong. I don't want to be right. It's hard sitting here telling people all the time that this is the way it is, because people take shots at you. But okay, I'm bulletproof. What can I say?
That's okay. We can take it, right? We can take it. We're tough. Let's see. Thank you for that, Derek. My teammate wanted you to talk a little bit about putting the mat in some, the bunker on the putting green. And do you want to talk about putting?
I want to. Somebody asked the question if about it fell off the screen. If higher vertical forces
if higher vertical forces do not correlate with greater distance, is greater distance more associated with an efficient linear trace that gets pressure to the lead side at the appropriate time?
Okay, so there's actually two questions there, because I may not have on the second part, yes. On the first part, if you have the same trace and your vertical forces are increased, you very likely will hit the ball further. Okay, so what I was suggesting is that there's no correlation between those that have high vertical forces and those that do not, because they can be of equal distance. They can both hit a 340 or 350. But if you have a lateral or linear trace and your vertical force is say 1.25 or 1.35, and all of a sudden because you can learn how to stamp on the lead side quicker, and you get it up to 1.5, you will hit the ball probably further. So there is a correlation between vertical forces and distance within your trace. But there's no correlation, in my opinion, between high vertical force players and low vertical force players, because they could be more lateral, have a better combination of rotation and lateral forces than just all rotational forces. Very, very typically speaking, rotational players in general have higher vertical forces. That's been my experience so far.
Okay, Terry, so for a beginner, because a lot of those graphs, the vertical force and the velocity are a little bit above my head as a beginner. So when I'm at the range, yeah, and I'm looking at just, I like pressure. When I personally am working with it, I'm just looking at pressure. And so I just, a lot of your answers are such golf professional, answers. But can you talk a little bit about, if I'm super beginner and I'm going to the range with my mat, yeah, and I understand those 7 traces and what I'm looking for. I mean, can't you just do that with that one pressure? I mean,
I just hit the ball with the practice and watching the trace. If I get that thing linear, go hit the ball real quick after you hit the ball 4 or 5 swings, and you'll hit it better.
Right.
I'm gonna go do right after this.
I know, me too, right? I'm excited.
Go do it. But like I said, there's no rear view mirrors in a jet airplane. That's a Hashimoto saying. There's no rear view mirrors in a jet airplane. No rear view mirrors in a jet airplane. If we could do it all over again, I wouldn't have included those charts, but we didn't. But we did what's that expression where the genie's out of the bottle? Yeah. So if you want to know about all that stuff, we have some really good information about it that we can share, have shared, and will continue to share.
Yep.
I want to share one thing with everybody, Mandy. Do I have 60 seconds?
Absolutely. You have as much time as you want.
When you move laterally with the peak velocities, when you begin to stop moving laterally. So I used to own a golf club company, and we actually we're a partner in a company called Spirotech that manufactured shafts for Graphiloid. So I wanted to learn how to use pressure mapping to see if it was possible to use pressure mapping to fit shafts. So when you stop moving laterally, that's a good commencement of the rotational forces. So when you stop moving laterally, all I did was time that to impact. We call that the release factor. V1's the only company in the world today that shows that. And there's a guy named Lee Porter in England that works for True Golf, and he's correlating all the shaft flexes and weights with the release factors. And I'll guarantee you, it's a better way of fitting shafts than you ever imagined. And we have that data. We've always had it. I just didn't want to share it and too damn lazy to get it all collected. Lee's doing it, and it's really easy, and it's revolutionary in a lot of ways. And we've been doing that for 8 years. So, well, other people don't share all that information. V1 does, and we're here to help. So just
Yep.
thanks.
And thank you. There again, that makes you the king of pressure. And guess what? Guess what? We had 2,000 people join us on Facebook.
That's
How
awesome.
cool is that? Yeah.
That's
We got to share a lot of cool information to a lot of people today. And so, we have 1 minute left because I know folks in the UK need to get back to their beer, and I need to get back to my rosés before I get in trouble. I want to share one more time. Terry and I are going to offer the pressure mat for $3,000. It will not happen again. My teammate Derek and I are standing by our cell phones right now to take your calls. We will not do this again because I'm sure my boss is going to be ringing me in a second, telling me I'm crazy. But please let us know if we can get one in your hands. Again, it's so easy. Look at it. It's so easy. It's got this cool logo. Terry is part of our team. He would love to help you be trained or set up. Anyway, we're here. Terry, thank you so much for this.
Andy, thank you. Derek, thank you. Everybody, Kelly, Amana, everybody, Anna, I'm sorry, and everybody, just wonderful. It's been an honor to work with V1. I hope it continues, and I know you guys are going to blow this thing out of the park, and I'm very proud of all of you. Thank you for letting me.
Thank you, Terry. We're so grateful to have you. And again, everybody, there's our contact information. This recording will be available on YouTube, and I can't wait to hear from all of you. Don't hesitate to call me or email us over the weekend. Terry, it's been awesome.
See you down the highway, baby.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.